All right. Hello, folks. I'm Corey Schmitz. It's not as bright as it usually is. Let's see if I can add some light here. Um, that's a little better. Not bad. Okay. So basically, here's the deal. We are looking at Jupiter live right now through my telescope. And for all the people watching, thank you very much for watching and tuning in, and pop in and say hello on the chat. If you have any questions about anything, just pop in and say hello on the chat and ask those questions, and I'll do my best to answer the questions as we go along tonight. I'm going to be imaging. I'm going to be taking some photos. I'm going to be, doing all the astrophotography stuff. We'll probably move over to Saturn at some point as the night goes on. It is currently, I've got my local time up there in the corner. It's currently 3:38 a.m. my local time. That is 1:38 Universal Time, UT. That red spot in the corner right here, that's going to start popping through as we go along. It's going to move across the disk of the planet over the next couple of hours, a few hours, and in about 2 hours, it's going to be front and center right in the middle. In about an hour or so from now, we're going to see the shadow of the moon Ganymede right here on the planet. And I can show you right now this little fuzzy blob. That is the moon Ganymede. And the fact that it's not jumping around like crazy is telling me right now that our atmospheric conditions are actually pretty darn good. So this is Ganymede at the moment, okay? Hey, pipe organ, how you doing? Thanks for popping in. Maybe, I love the Pluto comment. Maybe we'll check out Pluto. That'd be hilarious. It would look smaller than Ganymede. It'll be a dot, maybe. I've actually never tried because it's ridiculous. But hey, so anyway, this is Ganymede. The shadow of that is going to be popping in on the edge of the planet in about an hour or so. And I'll be here the whole time, unless we get clouds, which we shouldn't. And then, yeah, this GRS is going to be popping through. So I am Corey Schmitz from, I haven't decided on a name for my observatory yet. I'm still working on that. I've got one in mind. I don't want to say it yet because I'm not sure, if I'm going to stick with that name. So I'm going to hold back on any sort of public announcement with that name. But, we'll see what happens with that. And yeah, I hope everybody. I see. I'm getting actual comments in there responding to me, so you can obviously hear me just fine. That's great. Hey, Carrie. My name's Corey. Is it Carrie or Kari? Hi, Corey Carey here from Canberra. That's almost a tongue twister. I love it. How's it? How you doing? Yeah, it'd be good with beer. Imagine Pluto with beer. Right now I only have coffee. Actually, I finished my coffee. This is water. Or is it whiskey? It's just water. The only thing I can drink while I shoot usually is either coffee or maybe a beer, but that's not even that often. But yeah, so things have been running quite good tonight. The skies have been playing around. I did quite a bit of imaging a little bit ago. We should probably do it now though, since the GRS is starting to rotate into view. So I actually sent out a email on the photographingspace.com email list earlier this evening, right before I went to sleep. Took a nap before this, and just to try, just to basically announce the fact that I've been doing these live streams now. I think I've got I've got it's never too cold for a beer, Carrie. You need to is it Carrie with like a A or is it like a short O sound? I'm curious. I want to say your name correctly. Um, so what was I saying? I forgot. I don't even remember. Doesn't really matter. It's never too cold for a beer. So I'm going to. So this is the luminance filter, meaning the luminance filter is all the colors, is red, green, and blue. It's basically clear glass in front of the camera sensor. Okay. So I'm going to move over to red, and I'll set up something to show the entire videos or laptop screen here soon. This is my telescope control software that we're running right now with Jupiter, and yeah, it's the Celestron CPWI software. It's really chugging along there. Anyway, I use that to control the telescope as the evening goes on. So seeming to have some network issues. There we go. We're coming back now. That's good. So yeah, I'm going to switch over now to the red filter from what I was using before, because this is luminance now. This is all three colors, red, green, and blue, all mixed up together. And this is Okay, so I'm going to move over to red, and then I'm going to do a full color capture. Hey, Sam. Awesome. Yeah, I will definitely run through the setup with the camera and the scope. You can see the scope there in the corner. Oh, it's actually cut off a little bit. That's no good. We can fix that. Let's see. There we go. That's better. And then the camera, the clock. Okay, because we don't want that cut off at all. We've got a little bit to see here. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'm just lining. There we go. That's better. Okay. So the telescope, I'm running a 12-inch Ritchey-Chrétien telescope. As you see here, it's got a 12-inch mirror on it, and it is good size. I've got so it's a 12-inch f8 unbranded GSO Ritchey-Chrétien design telescope. So the camera actually comes out the back. It's similar to a Newtonian, except for instead of the light coming in the front or in the back, bouncing off the secondary and going out the side, it's actually coming in the front, bouncing off the secondary, which is mounted on the front, kind of like an SCT, and then bounces back out through, just like an SCT, except for there's no corrector plate. So the camera's actually coming out the back of the telescope like you would kind of assume a normal telescope design would be. Then I've got a Prima Luce Lab guide scope, 60 millimeter guide scope on the top there, with a QHY 5L2 mono guide camera, and I'm using that. And it looks like that has died because I have too slow of a USB. I've got too many things plugged in at USB at once. I've got some equipment on order right now to fix that issue otherwise. So when we switch over to any other targets, I'm actually going to have to go and reset the camera, which is not a big deal, but it's one of those things you got to do. So Sydney, hey, Peter, nice. Greetings from South Africa, from Johannesburg. So let's see, going through the rest of the scope, I'm using a ZWO ASI 290mm, so it's an ASI 290mm monochrome camera. That's why we are not going to see color in the live view. I have to run it through specific color filters as we move along. So I'm going to use red, green, blue, and then luminance, which is the clear color filter, all with all of them at once. And so yeah, this is the luminance filter. This is all three colors. This is the clear. It's basically a clear glass filter right in front of the camera sensor. It's a nice camera sensor actually. It's right about 1080p. It's 1920 by, I don't know, some weird number, like, I don't know, almost 1200 pixels, but it's more of a widescreen style camera. It's got very, very small pixels, so it's made for planetary and solar system imaging. It's got 2.9 micrometer pixel size, very, very small, so that gives us a good view for these small planets. You know, they're huge planets, but they're so far away that they're small. So you're watching the Telescope Time Machine. Came up with that name during one of the live streams. Actually, it was pretty funny. We kind of talked about, you know, what can we call this thing, and we thought about how the fact that we're, you know, looking at stuff in the past, including planets, like this video image of Jupiter that's coming, the actual photons that are exciting the camera sensor inside the telescope right now, is actually about 50 minutes old or so, give or take, you know, a few minutes. So quite a bit going on, you know, with that. Everything we see through the telescope is in the past, so it's kind of like a time machine, and quite cool. So that's why we call it that. Now let's see, as far as that's going, you've got the telescope, we've got the guide, scope, and camera, we've got the imaging camera. I'm using software called Fire Capture, which is hands down the best planetary capture software for lunar and planetary software. Highly recommended. It's free. Fire Capture is free. I would highly recommend getting it. Use it. Don't use anything else. Just use Fire Capture, assuming it supports your camera. I think it supports almost all the ZWO ASI cameras. It supports QHY. It supports quite a few different, you know, those are the big ones. It supports a lot of the other major manufacturers. What else does it support? I don't even remember. It supports quite a few, but check it out. It's called Fire Capture. It's very, very good. I would say the pretty much closest thing to a professional, you know, type of capture for planets that you can really get, and it's free. It works on all platforms too. That's the best part. Well, not really all, but it's made for Mac. It's kind of buggy on Mac. I use it on Windows. Supposedly it works on other platforms, but I would just say use it on Windows. What else? What else have we got? With the telescope. I think that's about it. It's on a Celestron CGEM DX mount. It's a big mount, but it is a little bit overloaded, so I can't do long exposure deep sky imaging with this mount and telescope. The telescope weighs about 25 kilograms by itself. And listen, you folks are getting treated to a beautiful view. This is super stable. I'm super excited about this. Wow. I'm just going to look at this for a minute because I've got this over my telescope control screen over here. And this is just incredible. Okay, I've got to start imaging because this is too good. So I'm going to switch over to the red filter now. And I'm going to start imaging, and I will talk about this. Pipe Organ asks, how bad is it to collimate? Well, that kind of depends on how scared you are of collimation. Let me make sure focus is good here before I begin this capture sequence, which I will talk about this capture sequence in a little bit. I'm gonna adjust. Oh, the other thing with the telescope setup and what I've got a Prima Luce Lab Sesto Senso motorized focusing system, which allows me to control directly through Fire Capture. I can control the focus, I can adjust the focus, I can give it focus points. It's not an autofocuser system would be able to use that. Fire Capture does not have any sort of autofocuser system, but it allows you to adjust the focus through fire capture and save focus positions for specific filters. So that is quite nice. And as far as collimation, that's there's the big things, that the big three, I suppose, with planetary imaging is collimation, focus, and the sky quality, the atmosphere. There's not much more, there's not much you can do if the sky is bad. But the thing is, what you can control is collimation. You can control focus. So if you nail those two things as good as you can, then when the sky is nice, you'll be able to get a good view, you'll be able to get a good capture, and you'll be able to get a good imaging result. So this red, I'm going to do 60 seconds of each color. 60 seconds of red, 60 seconds of green, 60 seconds of blue, and then 60 seconds of luminance. And I've got fire capture set up, so it's going to automatically move that focuser wheel. It's going to move it to green now, which is also looking nice. I'm going to adjust the focus. I've got about a few seconds in between each filter. Oh, it's so good. I mean, you can see the little gap between the great red spot and that south equatorial belt there. You can see, when you can see detail, you can see this slight contrast up here in the northern region. You can see contrast down here in the southern region. You can see actual detail in this northern equatorial belt, the dark areas, the light areas. When you can see that in the live view of the telescope, I mean, that is an indicator of decent seeing. That's really good. So like I said, I've got a few seconds in between those filter changes, and I use those few seconds to adjust the gain of the camera if in case like slight clouds have come through. And I also use that time now, as now we're going to blue, to slightly adjust the focus if need be, which even in blue, now this is crazy, blue is hands down the worst color. It always is. It just doesn't play nice. It does not play nice with anything, with the atmosphere. So when we're imaging and when we see detail like this and this and up here in the northern regions and around the GRS, when we see that detail in the live telescope feed, we know, I'm going to take a screenshot. This is so good. We know that it's actually decent. I mean, I'm excited about this. Let's hope that it actually translates to good images, So if I've done this right and I've got everything going right, then I should be able to get a decent image out of the deal. So let's hope here. Let's hope I did it right. So yeah, I'm only doing 60 seconds per color. Technically, you can get to about 2 minutes before you're actually going to get rotation blur, because Jupiter actually rotates very quickly. 1 day on Jupiter is a measly about 9.5 hours. And this is back to luminance now, and this is really good. I'm happy with this. Wow. I got a little bit of vibration blur on that bright limb there, but it's not too bad. Definitely put this seeing at a 7, maybe an 8 out of 10. It's not rock solid, it's not perfect, but it's pretty good. 7.5 to 8. I'm really happy with this. This is nice. Let's hope it translates to some decent images. I may or may not use this luminance, but I'm going to shoot it anyway, just in case. Wow, very, very nice. Okay. Yes. So let's talk about. I do want to talk about the focuser. That a motorized focuser is one of the best things that you can get for planetary imaging, lunar imaging, any of this high resolution stuff. You actually adjust focus often because it changes with the atmosphere. Planetary imaging is a whole different animal from deep sky and all of that kind of thing. So you definitely want to have something where you don't have to touch the telescope when you focus. And let's see, right now I'm on luminance and the seeing is still fantastic. I'm going to make sure and save this current focus position so that when it switches between filters, it will automatically move the focuser just tiny bits in between, so that we can make sure we've got that good focus. I'm also going to send myself the link to the stream. Ooh, I better tell Twitter that we're live, or should we keep it a secret? No, we better tell them. Let's tell them. Live now. Okay, cool. So you can ask questions on Twitter as well if you'd like. I prefer it in the stream here so I can monitor it constantly. That would definitely be the best. So, and if you know, I will get to your question as you answer them. So I'm gonna go ahead and switch over to red again and run another imaging run here, because I've got to. I mean, it's just quite nice. Make sure my focus is good before I start. I'll go over here. And I do run these live streams. It's a Q&A, usually more so at the beginning, but we Q&A the entire time. So don't worry about it if I don't answer your question right now. I will get to those questions. Just put them in the stream or in the chat, and I will answer them. I think that's pretty good. I don't think I'm going to get any better than that on focus. Let me move it just a little bit and see. Maybe that got a little better. I don't know. That's a tough one. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start. That'll do 60 seconds. Yeah. Okay, what have we got? Good evening, Russ. Hey, Neil, how's it going? And Dave, Colorado. Nice. Where's everybody from? Pop in your locations. I want to know what kind of global audience I've got. I always like to know. That's always nice. So far we've got people from all over already. I know. Let's see. Neil says, "Thank you. You're welcome. In the most basic terms, you shoot RGB for 60 to 180 seconds and a white and then composite. Is that right? Same for stellar objects as for planets." It's actually quite different for stellar objects and planets. However, the way color works, true color, real color, that is exactly how it works. It works the same for deep sky objects and planets. You shoot red, green, blue, and luminance, which is the clear. You shoot all of those and then combine them in post into a color image with the channels. Nothing I need to do with focus here on green. That's pretty darn good for green. 60 to 180 seconds. So 60 seconds is what I've kind of settled on as safe. And per color channel, it's done good results. More than that, I get a little scared with some people only shoot 30 seconds, but I like to shoot all of these, and then before I stack them into a color exposure, I will actually derotate each color channel and then put it into a color image, so that those color channels actually do line up. Oh, this is looking really good. Oh my goodness. You guys it's not often this nice. You feel good about this. This is cool. So let's see. DSO stellar star objects are much longer exposure. 60 seconds, sure, fine, you can shoot that. However, in planetary imaging, the actual exposure time right here, this is blue and it's looking great also. Holy cow. Wow. I'm stoked. I am stoked. The actual exposure time for each color channel here is about 13 milliseconds is what I'm running. So it's about 75 frames per second. And yeah, so it's actually far different than star photography. What we're doing here is we're actually doing what's something called lucky imaging, where I'm shooting 75 frames per second, and then I put it in post-processing software, which grabs the sharpest and the best frames out of the video. I'm actually recording video, okay, of the planet, and this is amazingly good for blue. Wow. Sorry, I'm kind of nerd freaking out here because the fact that you can see this level of detail in blue right now is amazing. So I'm, wow, stoked right now. And luminance here now is looking really good too. Wow. Okay, what was I even talking about? I got excited there. Oh yeah, the video stacking. So it grabs those and it averages them similar to what you would do for DSO photography. Averages them to make a nice smooth image, get rid of this noise because this is quite a noisy image. And then you sharpen it up, each color channel separately, and then you combine it in post. I'm actually controlling my telescope remotely. It's about 20 meters from me in the backyard, and that's why I've got that webcam on it, so that we can watch the webcam of the telescope, and in real time, so I can monitor it and make sure everything's okay. That way I can stay warm. And then I just do a screen share with my computer outside that's controlling the telescope and the camera and everything, and I control it from inside the house here. Oh, this is looking nice. So I'm going to close this window to clean up the screen so we can just gaze upon this beautiful image here. Yeah, quite nice, quite nice. I'll get to some new questions here. Just a moment. Very, very cool. Let's see, what do we got from Colorado? Couple people from Colorado here. Nice. Oh yeah. So interestingly, Vancouver. Cool, Neil. Miami, Florida. Albert from Miami, Florida. Awesome. Okay, so let's see. Yes, I've got family in Colorado Springs, actually. I've been to Colorado Springs many, many times. Beautiful area. Love that. Love Colorado Springs. Oddly enough, I've never taken the tram to the top of the mountain in Colorado Springs on Pikes Peak. You'd think I would have. Huh, never have. I've been there a lot of times, but I never went there. Garden of the Gods, beautiful place there too. So yeah, that's me proving that I've been there. My uncle actually lives there. So what have we got? Memphis, Tennessee from Mikhail, nice. PS Photography. Whoa, wait a minute. PS Photography. Photographing Space Photography. PhotographingsSpace.com. What? Somebody's stealing my name here. No, joking. Hello from Toronto. Cool. Hi there. Wisconsin. I've also got family in Wisconsin, oddly enough. Well, used to. I think they moved. No, they still live there now. Yeah. So, Wisconsin, USA, just north of my home state of Iowa. But I'm in South Africa right now. Yeah, people from all over. We got them in the U.S. We got might get some people from Europe. It's the middle of the night there, so if they do, actually, it's right about 4 o'clock in the morning, just like it is for me, in places. So this is looking good again. We better do another imaging run here. We'll switch to red. Gerald. Yes, a copy of this will be available for future viewing. It will be, definitely. I leave all of my live streams up. You can check the Telescope Time Machine playlist on the YouTube channel. This is part of that playlist, and you can check that. I don't even think I need to adjust the focus before I start, because it's pretty darn good. I feel like I should, though. It just seems like the right thing to do. Yeah, see, I'm glad I did. Now it's better. See? So I kind of hunt around with the focus on this before I start each color channel. you go from, it's the same way you focus with the star. It's just quicker and faster on planetary. You kind of go out of focus this way, and then you kind of go out of focus that way, and then you kind of meet in the middle, and it's like, okay, bam, that's my best. It's really hard to get perfect sharp focus or see on planets, so you kind of have to just hunt around and find the best, and then go for it. So that's what I did with the red here, and I'm gonna go for it because it's just looking too good not to shoot. You can also see at the top that countdown. You can see the file size here. Current file size, you can see the current frames per second, you can see the amount of frames being captured, you can see the capture time, how long we've been capturing that, and the 31, that's how many captures I've done so far tonight. So I've done 31 captures of Jupiter. I've shot about 40 gigabytes already of Jupiter. And we're not even to the main event yet, but the seeing is so good I can't not. So yeah, I do, to carry on with my answer, kind of all over the place here because I'm doing several things at once, so forgive me. But Gerald, yes, all of the telescope time machine live streams I've done up to this point, which is quite a few. This is about 16 or 17 already. Let's see. Oh, switch. I just switched. Got to make sure. Okay, that looks good. Wow, I'm checking the focus. I think I'm getting old. I'm actually going to focus a little bit while it's shooting to make sure. Okay, I think that's about as good as we're going to get for green. Save that new position. And yeah, focus changes throughout the night constantly, especially with these temperature changes. It's not a set it and forget it thing. As the telescope moves, as the atmosphere, as the amount of atmosphere you're shooting through, everything changes. So yeah. Anyway, yeah, all these live streams are available going back. And check out the playlist that I've got set up there on my YouTube channel. Not trying to be a YouTuber here. I'm not trying to make, hey guys, what's going on? I'm just trying to share my imaging. And sometimes it's really boring and I'm just sitting here mumbling about, atmosphere is so bad. But sometimes it's fun and I've got guests. But I'm always kind of, here, may as well stream rather than just sit here alone in the dark, So, switch filter, gotta check. Need to boost the gain a little bit. Focus, it seems like I've been moving. Yeah. Oh, let's see, and that failed. Okay, so this sometimes happens. That auto run failure failed, so I gotta do this manually now, which is fine. The software is free, I'm not gonna complain. So every once in a while when it's running through the auto run sequence, one of them will fail. So you don't just want to sit there and let it go and not monitor things. I cannot believe how good blue looks on this feed. This is just, oh, wow. Didn't know what to expect today. Did not expect this. Okay, cool. Yeah, see, this is why we gotta monitor things. I wouldn't have caught that. Cool, yeah, Russ. So peaceful at night in the mountains. Yeah, no, I'm kind of in a not mountainous region, but hills. It's technically near a small mountain range called the Waterberg Mountains and the Mahalisberg Mountain Range as well, near me, not too far away. Okay, now we switch to luminance. It's weird that it automatically switched to the filter because I did cancel the auto run procedure, but oh well, it's fine. We'll let it go, I guess. That's the funny thing with with all astronomy-based software, it's pretty much created by astro nerds who. Oh, that's looking good. I'm gonna shoot that color. It's pretty much created by astro nerds, and it's not like big software companies making this stuff. Well, it's not boring now. Pete says it's certainly not boring. Not boring now. I mean, it depends on what you get excited about. But seriously, sometimes I'm sitting here not talking this much, and we're just watching the view over a period of a few hours. But yeah, so yeah, this astronomy software is usually written by not big software companies, and so it's just somebody who they couldn't find software that does what they want. Um, because it's quite specialized. The market isn't that big really for this kind of thing, especially these very specialized tools and all of this. So sometimes it's buggy, sometimes it's hard to use. There's hardly any documentation out there, which I think is one of the reasons that I'm doing this live stream, because there's a lot of things about these pieces of software and just the procedures in order to get these astro images it seems like this weird black magic, like you got to be so talented and so wow to get images of space. And the thing is, you just have to kind of apply yourself and follow some certain procedures and kind of roll with that, because if you do, it works. If you do it right. A mentor at one of my first professional jobs out of university many years ago. I'm old now, geez, more than 20 years ago. Told me if you do it right, it'll work. Simple. And the thing is, that usually applies to astrophotography as well. If you do it right, it'll work. And there's lots of ways to do it right. That's the thing. Sometimes even if you do it wrong, it'll work in astrophotography. So there is usually no one right way, but there are so many different ways, or rather, everybody kind of has their own little tweaks and ways to do things. The planetary imaging greats, folks like Damien Peach, Christopher Go. There's a guy. I'm somewhat new to the planetary imaging game. I've been doing it since I started, but not seriously. This is the last couple of years basically has been the first time I've really seriously started to do this, and I'm actually submitting my images to scientific databases for planetary science research and that kind of thing now, which I really feel good about because it's like worth doing. But it's like one of those things, like I don't do things with my acquisition and even processing procedures. I don't do things the same as Anthony Wesley, like I meant to say his name, Anthony Wesley in Australia, Christopher Go in the Philippines, Damien Peach, wherever the heck, I think he's in the UK now. I don't know where he is, but he's got a 1 meter telescope in Barbados or Chile or something. I don't know wherever it is, the Chile scope, so it must be in Chile. But I don't do my acquisition the same as all of these guys. I've kind of got my own ways, and they don't do it the same as each other. The thing is, you can kind of get results that you're happy with using different methods and procedures, and I think that's important to think about. I don't like it when people say this is how you do it. It's not how you do it. It's how they do it, not how everyone should do it. And Christopher Go has been. I've watched a few videos with his stuff, and he's like, I just found a way that works for me, and that's what he says. He's like, you can do it the way you want, but this is works for me, the way his procedures are. And I think I've finally kind of gotten my own way. I'm tweaking it constantly, but I've kind of gotten my own as well. My own methods and procedures, and I've got that sorted out now. Acquisition pretty much down at the moment. I'm doing pretty well with that. Processing, just a few days ago, I actually finally ironed out and wrote down step by step the easy 57-step procedure I do to create a color image of a planet from these monochrome acquisitions. and it's long, and it's actually difficult, but it can be quick. I can probably process one of these images in about an hour, maybe. It's just it took me a while to get to that point. Man, this is really looking good. I'm happy about this. I'm not even shooting it. I probably should be, but I don't want to fill up the hard drive until we're front and center with that GRS, because that'll be good. I already got quite a few images out of the deal so far, so I'm happy. Anyway, I forgot what I was rambling on about here, but yeah, this is just my procedure, and I'll share. I've got no secrets. There's no, secret tricks. I don't think I'm good enough even to tell you, like, this is that secret trick that I won't tell anybody about unless you pay me. Nah, I don't think there isn't. There isn't. Everybody's procedure is a little bit different, and this is mine. Let's see, what else have we got in the questions. I'm gonna check out this. Carrie says, just sent you an email photo of Jupiter to my info address. Cool. Yeah, you can always email me at Corey@photographingspace.com or info@photographingspace.com. I prefer to Corey if you're going to do it personally. Or fill out the the form on the website. Twitter is a great spot to get a hold of me. The Astro Shake on Twitter. The Astro Shake on Instagram. You can also get a hold of me there. So yeah, it's always a good way to get a hold of me. Says he emailed me a photo of Jupiter. Let me know what you think. I will. I'll definitely. The thing is, if you're happy with it, that's great. That's the most important thing. But from a technical standpoint, I'll definitely take a look and tell you if there's something a little off, maybe. The best way with images, and I see a lot of Jupiters out there that they're color, but the color's way off, and it just doesn't look natural. The thing is, you can really compare your images to a lot of the stuff in the scientific databases, a lot of the stuff that you see from the bests, the greats out there. Compare it to them. If it doesn't look the same, well, then maybe you should probably change something. That's kind of my mantra, is like, you find someone who's better at the thing that you want to do and you copy them, and that's kind of what I've done. I've taken little parts from Christopher Go's procedures that he's posted about the bits and pieces that you can pick up from Damien Peach. I've found not a lot out there about his stuff that I've found, and then just from a friend of mine here in the Johannesburg area in Pretoria, my friend Clyde Foster, who I've recently been working with a lot. It helps that he's on the same time zone as me, and we image at the same time. He's out in his observatory right now, I'm pretty sure, taking advantage of these beautiful conditions. He puts out some of the best images in the world as well, and he's out there on the scientific databases every time. He'll have his images up, posted, a few hours after sunrise. I mean, he's got that time to do that. He's retired and can do it, and it's awesome. So we've been talking shop about the different things that we do, and I'm using some of his procedures, and I've just kind of mixed it up and made my own. So, what have we got? Tasman Sky says he'd love to help some Astro software developers learn usability principles. Yeah, that's definitely a thing. It's the astronomy software and astrophotography software definitely opens a hole in the market for people to teach. That's for sure. It's not. Most of the programs aren't that user friendly. And that's why I'm actually going to do a live stream soon. Now that I've got my process all nailed down and I've got it all figured out, step by step, I know what to do, and I'm not fumbling around saying, oh, do I want to do this or that? I kind of know what's going on. I'm going to do a live stream on my post-processing software procedures from start to finish, from after acquisition, because you can see acquisition here. And I'll do a more in-depth acquisition live stream sometime. This is just kind of after I sent that email out to the mailing list. This is just a kind of a hello intro, that kind of stuff. And then we'll do a proper, shorter post-processing, acquisition stream sometime where where I'll basically go through the settings of fire capture and all of that. I'll do that sometime in the future here. So, but then I'm going to do the post-processing, planetary post-processing live stream. I'll definitely do that sometime soon. And my plan for that, if it all works out, is to actually upload some data for people to download, and so that they can follow along and do their own. I'm not precious about my data. I put it out there for, as much as I can into the science databases, at least the final images. It's hard to put the raw data out because it's so big, but I think I might do that for the planetary processing live stream so that you can follow along at home. What have we got here? More questions. Yeah, Peter says, great to see that spot moving slowly in real time. Yeah, that's... I think seeing that great red spot move slowly across the planet. Oh, and then look at this. Look at Ganymede slowly getting closer. You can almost see detail on Ganymede. Holy cow, this is nuts. You can almost see detail on there, like one little bright area on a moon, on a freaking moon of a planet. How rad is that? I mean, that's just cool. Okay. I love it. I love this. So basically, think about this. This great red spot is the last time I did a measurement of it in WinJupos software. This is about 19,000 kilometers from one side to the other. That's how wide that thing is. So if I remember right, that's about 3 Earths wide. So 3 planet Earths could fit side by side, I think. Need to check that. Actually, somebody please do that for me. Google it or something. You know, what's the diameter of Earth? Is it about a third of 20? Because this is huge and it's moving along that fast. I mean, this planet is just spinning. I think we should shoot another round, though. What do you think? I think so. We'll switch over to red, and then we'll do... Got that set up. It's actually lost a little bit of gain. I need to increase that. So it's actually, the planet's gotten a little bit dimmer visually through the telescope over the past, almost an hour now we've been already. And that's usually just due to atmospheric reasons. You know, there's probably a bit of haze in the sky, and there is, I looked up, there's moisture, and I definitely see, it smells like moisture outside. So I'm gonna set my histogram to 90%. The focus is, I'm gonna do a bit of a change and see if I can. No, I just made it worse. Haha, see, that's how you do it. You make it worse and then you take a step back. Hope I don't lose this good seeing, but yeah, I need to stop worrying about that because that's just the way this game works. You are, even if you do everything right, we're slaves to this atmosphere. Not much else we can do. So I'm going to go ahead and capture this. Yeah, it looks like we lost some definite detail here. The scene conditions aren't quite as good as they were earlier. It sucks to have seasonal allergy issues when there's a global pandemic going on. Because, you know, you sniff, you're like, don't worry, I'm not sick. Yeah, this is when, well, if you caught the beginning of the live stream, you definitely saw the best seeing I've seen in at least a couple weeks. Excuse me. It's starting to go downhill a bit now. And this is just what happens over the course of an evening. You'll have, the atmosphere is never as good, is never like solid the entire night. And if it is, then that is the holy grail. I'm gonna go ahead and save this focus position. And let's go. Let's shoot. Hello from New York City. Nice, Doug. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining in. Anybody new to the stream? Anybody that just popped in? I'm answering questions as we go along. If you've got anything you want to know about my setup, any procedures, anything, just let me know in the comments. Post a comment. I will do my best to answer. I'll even talk about. I'm not going to talk about the science. We'll have a scientist on the stream sometime to actually talk about the real stuff, the real deal. But I can tell you about, my imaging process, my experiences, anything you guys want to hear, anything you want to know about my process or about what you're seeing, let me know in the comments, and I will do my best to answer. And if you just joined the stream, I do recommend. You can stick live if you want, do whatever you want, but if you want to go back to the beginning, man, we had some beautiful seeing conditions. So I've got to increase the gain a bit there. Okay, cool. Oh, look at this, it's failed again. Okay, looks like I'm doing this manually now. I don't want to restart the program, so I'm going to just do it manually, which is fine. That means I just have to change filters by myself. Oh, woe is me. It looks pretty good. I can still see a little bit of contrast in that northern region, just slightly here and there. It's not as defined as it was earlier in the evening. So that's what I was saying. If you want to go back to the beginning of the stream, say after I'm done or whatever, definitely recommend doing that because seeing conditions are decent now, but man, they were even better earlier. So it was quite. Okay, Earth diameter is 12,700. Okay, so it's not 16.5. I measured it at 19. I suppose it depends on when and where, right? It changes all the time. It's a thing. I thought I measured it at around 19,000, but anyway. Yeah, so it's just crazy. Maybe you can fit those 3 Earths in a ball. I don't know. I just heard that somewhere. That's why I don't like just to spout facts. Thanks for checking that out for me. But it does change. The GRS, the Great Red Spot that we're seeing, does change, all the time. Like 2 years ago, it started getting like a light pinky color. It wasn't so deep red. So it definitely changes quite a bit as time goes on. See, that's weird. It's automatically changing. Filters, but it's not actually doing it anyway, whatever. This is the thing with, it's sometimes buggy, and you just have to deal with the software, and that's just the way it works, and I'm not going to complain. It was free, and the thing is, even for paid software, this works so good. Like, I think you should charge for this. I forgot the name of the guy that wrote it, but the software is just so nice and helpful, even if it has a few bugs here and there. For the things that it does, for so many different astronomy setups, the support that it has is just incredible. And I'm seeing this weird kind of watery effect going on. I mean, I'm getting decent sharpness here, but there's a bit of a watery effect, so it seems like there's a lot of moisture in the atmosphere right now. Maybe that's causing this. Hopefully that doesn't affect the final image too badly. I'll go ahead and capture now. Where are we here in the questions? Albert says, how do the 4 registration points work, and are you guiding off Jupiter? Okay, so these 4 dots, these 4 registration dots, so let's see, that one is hidden by the telescope, this one is hidden by my face, but you see the 2 over here. So those 4 dots, they'll move around throughout this whole evening. And the reason what they're doing is that's called the auto align feature. the auto align feature in fire capture, basically what it does is it finds the center of gravity of the brightest thing in the frame, which is the planet, and it puts that right in the middle of the video frame that it's recording. No matter where it is on the camera sensor, it will put it right in the middle so that your video is much easier to work with and much easier to stack and process. You don't have to do any centering in post because it automatically does it in the software, in the acquisition software, which is part of the reason fire capture is amazing, because it helps so much, and that feature alone is so great. The other feature that you see here, let me make sure that this focuses right on luminance before I capture that. Kind of hunt around. Definitely losing the seeing a little bit. This is not as stable as it was earlier. It's still decent. Still nice. I'd say it dropped down to about a 6. 6 out of 10 maybe. We were at like a 7 or an 8, and now we're down to maybe about a 6. But that's what happens. I mean, that's just how this works. Yeah, definitely. Look at that moisture. You can just see that. Ooh, yeah. That happens. Okay, so I'm moving the telescope now. Go ahead and shoot that. Finish this image run. Yeah, so this white box that you see here, this white box is the cutout feature. That or crop video feature. So this is the full screen. This is the full screen. This is the full camera sensor. And we've got an extra moon over here. Can you see that one? Yeah, you can see both these moons. That is Ganymede and Europa. So this is Ganymede, this is Europa here. Very cool that that's starting to become visible. Those are going to get a little closer to the planet in their orbit. And so this white box, this cutout box, this is the only part of the video that I'm saving. I'm not saving the moons here. I'm not saving anything else other than what's inside this white box. So it's keeping the planet centered for me, which is awesome. And it's only using this section of the camera sensor, which saves a ton of hard drive space. I started out the evening with about 140 gigabytes free on my hard drive. Now I've got 89 free. So, you know, it tells you I've captured over 50 gigabytes now for this evening, and it eats up hard drives fast. So you have to basically start with a fresh, clear hard drive at the beginning of the evening, and you know, you're going to fill it up. If seeing is good like this, we're definitely going to be filling up the hard drive. So that's one of those things that happens. So that's what that is. And it looks like things got a little more stable. Looks very nice. You guys are being treated. Okay, cool. Tasman Sky says, yes, the GRS is small now. Okay, cool. That's what I figured, yeah. I remembered some things. So we're back to, I like to look at it at 100% zoom so that pixel for pixel we're seeing this, and I think it helps focus a little bit better. You can zoom in even more if you want, but I prefer it at 100%. Let's see, Renee. Good evening, Renee. Awesome. Oh, you're excellent. You're imaging as well. Cool, popping in between imaging. Wonderful. Nice to see you again. Renee's in the New York area, Long Island. Kevin, nice to see you also. Thanks for popping in. Yeah, so I've already snagged one wide capture. I'm going to do another one. Let's do another one anyway. No, that's going to eat up lots of hard drive space. I need to calm down. So the only reason I do like a wide capture really most of the time is to use as a reference image, because when you do the derotation and stacking of the color channels and everything, you have to make sure that when the planet rotated in between those, what you do is you actually um, it moves the image, it rotates the image for you so that the red, the green, and the blue all match, because they need to match, otherwise your color channels are going to be off and everything's going to be wrong. So if you take a wide capture, and I got this idea from Anthony Wesley in Australia. If you take a wide capture where you shoot the moons and the planet at once, and then when you line up everything and you line up those moons, those are giving you a much wider distance to measure for your actual rotation adjustments of the image, and rather than just using the body of the planet itself. So if you take that wide reference shot and then set that rotation, it works much better, which is great. Oh, I'm so annoyed about that USB issue I've got going on. Oh well. Okay, so let's see. Oh, somebody also asked, am I guiding on, Albert asked, am I guiding on Jupiter? No, I'm not guiding at all. This is just polar alignment. I spent quite a bit of time, recent evenings, doing a good drift align of this mount with the telescope on it, because if it's drift aligned nicely and you have good polar alignment, you're gonna have a lot better time imaging. You don't have to constantly move. I do have to move it around every once in a while because it doesn't quite do a perfect job. It is an overloaded mount, but yeah, no, there's no guiding happening whatsoever. This is all just polar alignment. So you can actually you can check my polar alignment or just the way the scope runs, the mount runs, by watching how these four auto alignment dots move around. Because I'll manually move it now to try and center it better, which I'm doing. Okay, so there, that's decent enough. That's good. Now we can just watch those kind of jump around and move. That's the software compensating for the movement of the telescope and the mount. That's basically how that works. So, nice. Aloha from Hawaii. Awesome. That's so rad. We got people from all over the place now. I'm super stoked. Clyde Foster, up and running. Very cool. Clyde, I hate to tell you. Well, you know what? Clyde's about 40 kilometers away from me. I'm telling you right now, we had some incredible views, incredible views of Jupiter now. I mean, it's good now, but it was even better when I started. I'm not gonna lie. It looked really good. Woohoo! Woohoo! It's still pretty decent now, though, but a little wobbly. Yes, so, yes, it's Europa and Ganymede. So if we zoom back out here, we've got Europa out here, and Ganymede, and just out of the frame out here somewhere is going to be Io, the moon Io. So, yeah, we've got a pretty nice view still. I'm not gonna complain about this. I'm gonna definitely save my hard drive space for the next stuff. Let's see, where are we? Oh man. While this, I'm gonna leave this just viewing now. While it's kind of oh, wait a minute. Look here. Like I said, as expected, right here. Keep an eye on that spot up here, just north of the North Equatorial Band. We are seeing the shadow of Ganymede start to pop in. So because of that, regardless of any sort of seeing conditions that we might have at the moment, I'm going to image that because it just looks damn cool when it's right on the edge. It's like it's taking a bite, out of that. So we'll switch over to red right now and start our image capture on red, and then do green, and then do blue, and then do luminance again. It's always the way to go. I don't want to rub it into the northerners that are watching right now, but it's at pretty much at zenith right now. If you look at my telescope, that's how straight up it's pointing. Oh, it's good. So yeah, you can see that little cutout happen in the edge of Jupiter, and that is the shadow of this moon Ganymede right there, beginning to pop in on the planet. I mean, how cool is that? This thing's about, if I remember right, about 700 million kilometers away, 730 million kilometers away or so. And we're seeing the shadow of one of its moons, okay, start to pop in on the actual planet itself. That is amazing. It's so cool to be able to watch. Okay, now let's go ahead and capture. Oh, man, this is just so cool. What have we got? Oh, yeah, man, that's good. Oh, I love it when this stuff happens. So we've got the GRS. The reason it's light colored right now on this particular color is because we're in red. Okay, so in red, the GRS is going to be a lighter color for reasons like the fact that on a color filter, the brightest thing is going to be the color that you're actually imaging of that filter. So therefore, red is going to be nice and bright. And because there's a lot of red in the great red spot, it's going to be nice and bright. So that just makes a lot of sense. Very cool. This is almost done. I'm going to switch to, let's save this focus position. It's switching to green for me automatically. How nice of that. Yeah, there's definitely an issue with the software. I need to tell it not to do that. But I think we're hitting some definite haze and cloud in the atmosphere because I'm having to increase the gain by quite a bit from what it was before when it was not at zenith like it is now. So that would explain why our seeing conditions kind of took a dive a little bit, and focus is changing a little bit, definitely because of those seeing conditions. And that is like a haze or a high cloud maybe coming in. I wouldn't call it a cloud so much, it's not affecting it that much, but that's why we call it lucky imaging. Hopefully we'll get lucky and get some nice stuff. Okay, grab that. Current position to filter. Cool. Okay. So now we're shooting the green filter. So yeah, people new to the stream right now, as always, let me know if you have any questions about anything you're seeing. I'll do my best to answer. We're seeing that shadow of Ganymede really pop in nicely here. And the great red spot shows up a lot better on green and blue than it does on red. Even on luminance. Luminance is probably my favorite visual view, just because it's just nice and smooth and it looks, it's the natural, it's everything. It's just black and white. It's just monochrome. But yeah, green and blue, this red spot really pops. That's probably going to automatically switch to blue for me because yeah, that's what it seems to be doing. It's fine. And now there's action going on, so I don't want to wait too long in between captures. And increase the gain again because I did it for the other filters, so I need to do it for this one. A little bit brighter. I'm actually at a gain of 360, which is pretty high. I don't like using it that high, but it'll be okay. So adjust the focus a little bit, make sure I'm tight as can be on there. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, cool. Let's go. Blue, capturing, saving that current position to the filter. you can probably notice that the what was I going to say? Oh, that the live view starts to slow down a little bit when we're capturing, and that is because it's quite processor intensive to capture video at 75 frames per second and it's full raw. It uses quite a bit of computer resources to do that. So it slows down the live view a little bit while you're while you're actually capturing. Okay, there it goes. It's going to switch over to Loom. There's luminance again. And look at that. We've really got to increase. My blue was definitely quite a bit lower. Increasing that gain every single time. Well, it seems like it's getting a little more stable. Set focus before I grab this caption. I focus in between every filter because I derotate. Like I said, I make sure that rotation matches for each color. So it's okay if there's a bit of a gap in between color filters. I used to not derotate, so I just bang go through and like capture all the color filters at once, or as quickly as I could. But the thing is, like that would be great, when you get lucky and the seeing is like perfect. But the seeing is almost never perfect. I would rather have a better image with better focus than, I don't know, just capture a bunch of crappy data. Because if you capture crappy data, what does that do for you? Nothing. You end up just wishing that it was better. That's not going to do you any damn good. So let's not even worry about that. So yeah. So people that have just joined, if you just joined the stream, nice to have you here. If you have any questions about anything you see, any of the gear, you actually see some nice detail now. Any of the gear that you see, let me know. Put them in the comments. Put the questions in the comments. I'll answer what I can. Look at this. You can see. So there's the shadow, and then just a little tiny bit of Jupiter beyond that. This is actually quite a nice view. I'm very happy with this view. Oh, and I guess I'm catching 90 seconds of luminance, not 60, which is fine. Not a problem. I should probably I'm going to stop it though. I don't want to capture too much, especially because we got that shadow movement and the moons move quick. So you don't want to capture too much. I'm going to set the limit to 60 seconds. Okay, yes. Oh, one big thing about fire capture, especially because I definitely recommend that you derotate, especially, if you're using a monochrome camera to shoot. And I'll do that live stream, like I said, on derotation sometime. And the one thing you can do with fire capture that makes it super easy is do all the auto alignment stuff, do all the cutout, the clipping box. But the other thing that I definitely recommend doing is make sure that you use WinJupos file naming. And the reason being is then it will automatically save the capture time in universal timestamp of the actual capture that you're doing. And then when you derotate that, it will use that in the file name, and you will use the filter name. So it puts the filter, it puts the file, the time and the date, in the file name, so that when WinJupos knows exactly what to do. So yeah, this is working quite nicely here. I'm going to change something so that it doesn't automatically switch filters for me. So I turned off this in the filter settings. I turned off so that it does not automatically switch filters. I don't want it to do that anymore. This is nice. This is quite nice. I feel like I want to capture Ganymede at the same time. It seems like something, maybe I'll wait for it to get a little closer in. And then I'll get Ganymede and its shadow and the great red spot when everything is kind of centered. And then I'll make this cutout box that I'm capturing bigger so that it encapsulates the moon as well as the planet. Yeah, I'll wait. Yeah, definitely. Okay, cool. Let me switch back to red. Switch back to red. Hello, Mike. Mike C. from Portland, Oregon. Awesome. Hey, Mike. I don't know if I've seen you in here before. Anyway, a few years ago, geez, a long time ago now. How many years ago has it been? I'm getting old now. It's been over 15 years now. Right around 15 years. 15 years ago, I almost moved to Portland, Oregon. Visited there, beautiful place. Looked at houses, spoke to a real estate agent, looked at schools. I mean, wow, beautiful place. Loved Portland. But oh, this is looking pretty good. Pretty decent. Let me try. Ugh, look at this. I got to increase the gain again. This is not definitely imaging through some haze here. Watching that histogram and the fact that I've got to increase the gain continuously is definitely telling me something about the fact that we're probably shooting through a bit of extra atmosphere that isn't all that great. But hey, you know, the seeing conditions are actually pretty decent. So let's go ahead and capture that, and let's go ahead and save that focus position that I just changed to the red filter. This is pretty good. The fact that we're seeing the shadow so stable on the planet is quite nice. So this is the moon Ganymede, and this is the shadow of Ganymede. This is the great red spot. So we're on the red filter now. Let's see, Tasman Skies. So my OTA is a 12-inch GSO RC, the ASI 290 camera, and PowerMate 2.5x. What filter wheel and focuser am I using? So that's a gear question. Yes, it's a 12-inch GSO f8 RC. I'm using a PowerMate 2.5x Barlow, basically. Hold on, I need to switch filters quickly. I'll keep talking after a couple of seconds when this is finished. Okay, I'm switching to green now. Probably have to increase the gain just a little bit because that's the going thing. Okay, yeah, 360 seems to be that magic number for the moment. Set some focus. It's nice to see the GRS pop in when you switch to the green and the blue filters. It's quite nice. So I'm using the moon shadow and the moon and also detail on the planet in order to try and get my focus as good as I can. It definitely helps quite a bit. Yeah, that's about as good as I'm going to get there. So let's shoot green. Let's save my focus position. No, I'm pretty happy with that view. That's a beautiful view. Oh, it's so nice. I love to see that. I mean, this is real. This is out there. Well, about 50 minutes ago. This shadow on Jupiter. I mean, it's so cool. Geeking out. I'm gonna do something ballsy and I'm gonna recenter it during the capture. Whew, dangerous. What have we got? Oh yes, what filter wheel and focuser? So this is interesting. I never had an automated filter wheel prior to this to about 2 years ago, and I bought a manual filter wheel that I moved myself with the wheels. So I'd sit there by the telescope and I'd move it, and then I'd adjust focus. Oh my goodness, it was such a pain. Let's switch over to blue. So right now, a friend of mine in Canada, Rob Bauer, he had an old motorized filter wheel, Zaggle made. It's actually a really, really nice filter wheel. He had laying around that he wasn't even using anymore. And he was watching one of my Instagram streams 2 years ago. And he got frustrated with watching me and watching the thing jiggle as I had to touch it to change the filter wheel. And so nice guy being that he was, he sent me this old filter wheel that he wasn't using anymore. Mailed it to me all the way from Canada. FedExed it. I get it and I install it, and I've been using it ever since. And it's been gold. It's been so awesome. Rob's been such a good friend. We chat quite often. And he's one of the reasons, Rob is actually one of the reasons that I've kind of gotten more motivated, I guess, to shoot planetary stuff. It's one of his passions, and he loves deep sky too, but I think it's one of his passions along with solar and all of that. And yeah, I mean, he's got his own, backyard observatory in, I think Toronto, around Toronto, Canada. And this is so stable, you guys. This is really quite nice. I mean, check out that moon. It's not moving that much. Usually it's like a jumpy blob. So that's pretty impressive. We'd probably be able to get some detail on that moon. It's pretty cool. We'll do that. We'll do that soon. Yeah, so that's the filter wheel I'm using. Is the Zaggle filter wheel. It's automated. It works great. It's just uses the ASCOM drivers. Works wonderfully. Actually shooting past the Meridian now. I should probably do a Meridian flip. I'm going to have to do that soon, so I'll have to leave this unattended and go outside just now. And yeah, so that's the filter wheel I'm using. The automated focuser I'm using is from Prima Luce Lab in Italy. Filippo actually got a hold of me a while back, and I started using some of their stuff from Prima Luce Lab, and I'm using the Prima Luce Lab Sesto Senso motorized focuser, and it is, as most of their products are, built so well. It is built so nicely, and it just works. Like, I'm able to control it through fire capture. It's got ASCOM drivers as well. I'm able to control it through fire capture and set the focus positions, and it's very accurate, and it's got really tiny step sizes on the motor, so it makes adjustments that are impossible for me to make with my fingers, because you literally can't move the tiny increments that this thing does. And when you're doing planets, those tiny increments make all the difference in the world, because I mean, the amount of insane detail that you're capturing. I'm shooting at 5,700 millimeters of focal length. I mean, how nuts is that? 5,700 millimeters. I'm shooting on 5,700 millimeter lens, basically. So, you touch that at all, it's going to jiggle. Finding focus on that is so difficult. So yeah, that's some of the gear. Black Leprechaun asks, are you using a personal telescope? I am. The telescope I'm using is in the view there, up in the upper right. That is my personal telescope in the backyard. It looks like it's kind of getting run over there. It's about 20 meters away from me. I'm just inside my house, where it's nice and warm, so I can be comfortable and give this live stream and do this So I'm actually going to do, let's see, while this moves over, the view is nice and stable now. I think we're just, yeah, man, we're not, it's so stable. It is so stable. This is great. I'm going to go reset. I'm going to go outside quick and I'm going to reset the, um, I'm going to reset the guide camera so that I can move to a different target. Sometime I should probably do that Meridian flip. Let's look, where is Saturn? Saturn is also past Meridian. I'm going to do a Meridian flip and then and reset that guide camera. So you're going to see this view. I'm going to go outside quick. You're probably going to see me by the telescope. I'm going to go move that. I'm going to do something called a Meridian flip, which means I'm actually going to move the telescope completely around. It's going to be facing the other direction so that it can track in the sky properly. So I'm going to do that quick. It will not take very long. Yeah, that's going to be cool. Okay, cool. I'm going to go do that and I'll be back now. So check this view out and watch the telescope. It'll be pretty cool. Let's see. I'm going to turn this off and I'll be right back. Okay, cool. I'm going to put that in the thing. We'll be right back. I have to do a Meridian flip outside and reset the guide, or sorry, the guide camera. Watch the telescope camera view. Okay, I'm back and I'm stoked because seriously, look at this view. This is hard to beat right here. Wow. I mean, really, I'm really excited about this. Maxed out. Oh, this is such a cool view. So this is Saturn now, and I did a Meridian flip. And, okay. So this is, Stephen, the broadcast software I'm using is called Fire Capture. I'm actually going to go to my pointing software on the mount and add Saturn to the pointing model so that it gets a little more accurate next time. I'm using OBS to broadcast on YouTube now. Let's see. Oops, wrong way. There we go. This is looking great. The seeing conditions are very, very nice, especially on Saturn here. So we'll go back to Jupiter just now. But we've got to capture Saturn because this is just pretty. This is so pretty. So I'm increasing the gain. Try and get this to about 90% on the histogram. And then I'm gonna, so we're on luminance now, I think, unless we're not. Okay, yeah, we are. Okay, focus looks good. Very nice. Let's just save that for now. Save this focus position. We should zoom into 100%. Move it into the middle, make it bigger. How beautiful of a view is this? Oh my goodness, I love Saturn. It's so pretty. Okay. Where are we at? Clyde says, looks like, yeah, decent short spells between long bad spells. Yeah, I mean, definitely some badness happening here and there. So what we're looking for with focus on Saturn, one is the Cassini division, obviously. You can use that, and that's fine. However, even better, and it's hard to see here. Let me try and increase this gain some more. To try and get this to about 80% on the color filters, which we're at now. It's a lot grainier, but that's just how Saturn is. If you can see, there's like a slight bit of contrast above this, so this is upside down right now. This is the north pole of Saturn. If you can see this dark band, there's a slightly darker band above. So there's a bright band here, and then there's the top of the planet, and then there's this darker area. If you can see that, then you're actually doing pretty good. So it's slightly visible. It's kind of noisy, but you know, that's what we're going to do, what we're going to deal with right now. I'm going to adjust the focus a tiny bit. Oh, there we go. That dark kind of popped a little more. And that's what I'm going to focus with at 80%. Going to stick with that. And then we're going to shoot. So for Saturn, I do 90 seconds per, because it's grainier and moves slower and there's not as much detail. I do 90 seconds per color. So I'm going to do a few of these runs on Saturn, and then we'll go back to Jupiter. Yep. Yeah, it is cool. Saturn is cool. I love Saturn. Should we make it even bigger? Let's do it. Let's make it even bigger. Let's do 150% because we can. There. How's that? Can't beat bigger. Okay. So there is our 150% view of Saturn. Great for YouTube, I suppose. What else have we got? The rings are closing up, really noticeable compared to last year. You know, I hardly shot planets last year, so I don't even have anything to reference. But I do have some stuff from a couple of years ago. I suppose I could look at that. I don't know if we'd be able to notice it or not. That'd be interesting. Oh, well, Corin Lewis says, I was trying to view Saturn this morning from London, but it was too hazy. Well, I've got a bit of haze that I'm dealing with. Not too much, but just a bit. And yeah, so I'm glad I'm able to share this view with you, this live view. It's 5:17 a.m. here in Johannesburg. I'm going to start getting, the sky's going to start to lighten up here sometime soon. So I'm just going to do a quick Saturn run on the color filters. 4156. Okay. And then we'll go back to Jupiter because there is some nice action happening over there. Oh, that focus is good there. Oh yeah, that's the stuff. Okay, cool. Let's increase the gain to about 80%, just like we were at red. Now gain is so much higher, so much noisier on Saturn. Saturn has pretty low surface brightness. It's quite dim. So, you know, you always have to deal with noise issues with Saturn. Let's see, what else have we got? Morning, Prima 946, also in my geographical area. Good morning to you, sir. Stephen asked, do I have to derotate my Jupiter and Saturn images? Yes, I do. I derotate every single color filter of every single image. I derotate the reds, I derotate the greens, I derotate the blues, derotate the luminance, I derotate everything. It's actually very quick and easy now. Now that I've got it pretty much nailed down, I know exactly how to do it and what to do, and it's not difficult, and it creates such a beautiful view. So you guys, Corin Lewis says it's 4:18 in London, so yeah, it's 1 hour behind me. I'm GMT plus 2. You are GMT plus 1. Okay, what else? Oh, at 5:54, the ISS will pass close to Saturn. Oh, that's cool, man. Not close enough for me to capture on the planet, though, I assume. I should actually look, because that would be, imagine, oh, that would be cool. But yeah, that's not going to happen. Let's save this focus position on green. Let's go to blue. Okay, there's that. Wow, blue is dim. I'm only going to make blue like 50. Oh, it's already at 60%. I'm going to make it at 60%. That's good enough for me. So blue, very dim on Saturn. And you can still see slightly darker area above this lighter area. And blue is looking pretty rough right now, though. Jeez, that is nasty. There's just so much noise in it. It's so dim. The blue channel on Saturn is nasty. Let's see if I can find some decent focus. Yeesh, I don't want to stick around with this very long. That is just gross. There we go. Yeah, let's capture that. And then we'll go back to luminance. Because we're actually shooting longer exposures, actually, this is 25 milliseconds versus the 13 that we were doing on Jupiter. So it's longer exposure, almost double that exposure length, and way higher in the gain, you know, for the camera, for Saturn versus Jupiter. So if that tells you anything, definitely there. Okay, cool. This is still working. That's good. Oh, I need to recenter this. Crazy, our green popped up there. Our green was much higher in gain than the red, but that's okay. Where are we? Has the RC, Tasman Skies asks, has the RC telescope ever given me collimation grief, or has that not been an issue for me? Once I learned how to collimate it properly, it has not been an issue at all to collimate this telescope. I've got a good procedure that I use using a normal camera, just a normal camera lens, and my DSLM camera, hook it up to the computer so that I can see in real time what I'm actually doing to the mirrors, where I adjust the primary and the secondary. I recently did a recollimation after I completely messed it up. So it's in good shape right now. It holds collimation pretty well, but it also helps that I'm super careful with it. I don't move it around. I'm refocusing here before I do any luminance imaging. I don't move it around a lot at all. Sorry, I'm concentrating on focusing. I don't move around that much. And especially right now, I've got it in a permanent setup, semi-permanent setup in my garden, in my backyard. I've got an observatory now, let's call it. It's close enough to a real observatory. So this is looking good. I'm gonna go ahead and capture 90 seconds of loon. And so if you don't move it around, obviously your collimation is gonna stick pretty well. So I don't collimate that many times, maybe 3-4 times a year, unless I'm having some troubles. But no, the collimation seems to be pretty good. Oh, we got a new one. Hello, Rafael Sanchez. Hello from Mexico. Awesome. Yes, you're welcome for the share. I'm glad you're watching. Thanks for watching. If anybody has any questions, anybody new, I see we've got quite a few new viewers now. I've got it's a standing Q&A the entire time. Ask any questions that you're curious about, any questions that you'd like about anything you're seeing on the screen or anything that I'm doing. And I'll do my best to answer them. So welcome to the new people. Let's see, we'll probably may as well keep going. We've been at it for almost 2 hours now. Has it been 2 hours? Yeah, 2 hours now. And the seeing conditions are pretty decent, not too bad. Some really nice sections of sky have been popping through for us, so I'm pretty happy about that. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to go back to red. I'm gonna do a full color run again of the RGB. We're gonna do RGB, one more RGB imaging session here of Saturn, and then move back. We're at 90% with those, even crazy. And then we're going to go back to Jupiter. So normally I do a little bit of infrared, but I don't want to mess around with that right now. I just want to do color because I'm trying to do both Saturn and Jupiter. So we'll do infrared on a different evening. Seeing is good enough now that I want to concentrate on the color. Infrared is what I usually use. I usually use infrared if I'm doing if I'm shooting on a night where it's bad seeing. I'll often try and do infrared if I'm kind of shooting by myself and I don't have the live stream to do. I'll kind of do both RGB color and infrared. But right now we'll just do color tonight. I've got enough on my plate, so we won't mess around. Although I do love infrared, it just always turns out nice. We'll also wait to do infrared after it gets lighter. So I'll switch to infrared after we play with Jupiter some more. Then we'll probably switch to infrared and shoot that. But right now we're just doing RGB. Steven says inspiring. I'm inspiring him to start doing some live broadcasts. Cool, man. Dude, it's fun. I mean, it's like one of those things you just do because why not? I mean, I started it when South Africa went on a solid lockdown, and because of that, I'm doing some of these because I mean we're all stuck at home. Or, you know, most of us are stuck at home. A lot of us, at least, and may as well have some astronomy. You know. Share this view. So yeah, do it, Stephen, and let me know when you do on Twitter. Tim Jones, thanks for sharing. Made your lunch break astronomy flavored. Cool. It's made my night astronomy flavored. That's for sure. I'm happy to share. For everybody watching, I've got a ton of these live streams that I started kind of getting going with these imaging live streams. What about 6-7 weeks ago now? And anyway, they kind of go back and go and check out the playlist, the telescope time machine playlist on my YouTube channel. If you want to go back and check out some of the other ones, sometimes I've got some different guests on here, talking heads with me. I've had my buddy Dylan O'Donnell, who's part of the whole photographingspace.com team. He's been with me on one of these streams before. Jason Major, great solar system, NASA, ESA, space probe imager. He processes those images. He's been on with me. Fraser Kane and David Dickinson from Universe Today have been on a past live stream with me to test all this stuff out. And then I've also had a real live scientist, a geologist, during one of the moon live streams that we did. Was with a friend of mine who's a geologist, and he shared some of his knowledge about the geology of the moon and some of the things we see. So we'll do that again sometime, definitely with Nigel, with Dr. Nigel Hicks, geologist. We'll definitely get him on again. So I've got some other guest ideas lined up that we're going to be doing on these live streams. Sometimes it's just me and I'm just mumbling about how bad the atmosphere looks and how hard it is to focus, but sometimes I've got other people on here with me. Also, I saw Fraser Kane from Universe Today has restarted the virtual star party, and once a week he hosts that on Universe Today channel, where we all kind of get together with our telescopes and share our views of the night sky. So yeah, it's cool. Francois Fournier, hello, how's it going? Great idea from Montreal, Canada. 23:27 there. 23:27. Is that when you joined? Oh yeah, 3 minutes ago. Okay, cool. So it's what, almost 11:30 at night there, huh? That's great. Thanks for joining. It's dark in both places now. Greg Williver. Nice, Greg Williver back in Iowa. Greg, how's it going, man? Yeah, nice to see you again. So Greg just joined in, I see, and he's back from, so where I was from in Iowa. I used to live in Iowa in the U.S. The astronomy club there with their observatory, I used to be a part of that back in the day. So nice to see you, Greg. I hope you're enjoying the views that I'm showing here from South Africa. I've been doing a lot of these now, so this has been fun. Very, very cool to see so many people from so many different places in the world. People in Europe are just starting to wake up right now. I wonder if anybody will pop in. I should actually check Twitter and see if there's any questions. Oh, somebody does say, what is the altitude angle of Jupiter for you? Seeing should be better higher, right? Well, yes, Alan Greeley on Twitter just said that about an hour ago. Seeing definitely is much better when it's higher, and that's the thing. It's very high right now. You can see my telescope. It was at zenith. It was, pretty much straight up. The planets are pretty much at zenith for me, when they're at their peak, which is awesome here in the southern hemisphere. And this seeing conditions are quite nice actually. So this is a great view we're getting, and yeah, you can see the telescope there. It's starting to point a little bit more at an angle, so it's quite a bit less than it was altitude wise. I would guess the altitude now is, I think it's around 70 some degrees. So looking great. This is amazing. I'm gonna shoot. Screw it. We're gonna move over to Jupiter again because I've got a couple runs on Saturn and it looks good. I'm gonna be happy with that. Move back to Jupiter on there, and it's brighter as you can see, so we can turn off those two helpful features and go back over to here. We're going to tell the telescope, we're just going to do a go-to. We're going to tell the telescope to go to Jupiter. It doesn't have to go very far. We can watch it move. That's so cool to watch, isn't it? There's Jupe, old Jupe. Now watch this. Look at that. You can actually see those Galilean moons next to it. Pretty neat. That's pretty cool. So let's switch back. There it is. Oh, it looks so good. Oh my gosh. Wow. Look at that view. Oh, oh man. That is just beautiful. I'm going to do one wide field shot of this. We're already on that. I need to increase the gain. I'm going to do a wide field shot because that's just so freaking pretty. Okay, we might get all those moons. Let's just do it. Oh wow. Wow. Sorry, I kind of got speechless there. When you see that move in, it's just so beautiful. I mean, you're seeing 3 moons. What are we seeing? Let's turn on our ephemeris data. We're seeing Europa, Ganymede, Io up here in the corner. Is my stupid face, and no, it's not. We're seeing the shadow of Ganymede on the planet right now, and we're seeing the great red spot. I mean, that's just gorgeous. That is just beautiful. Wow, 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 wow. Okay. Let's stop freaking out now. There, look at that. That's such a cool view. It's the shadow of Ganymede on the planet, Ganymede and Europa. Beautiful. That is just beautiful. Let's see, is that my stupid face in the way? It's not, it's right above my head. Cool, so we've got, how gorgeous is that? Wow. Wow, that's impressive. Okay, now I'm gonna adjust the focus a little bit, just to make sure that we're as good as we can possibly be for this particular filter. This is the luminance filter. Wow, this is cool. So pretty. Yeah, we're popping in and out of poor seeing conditions. Oops, what am I doing? Why did I move that? I don't need to move that. I can move the screen. Okay, that's me actually moving the telescope there. Gorgeous. Okay, so we should probably capture those moons. Oh, that's not what I want to do. No, I want to do this. And I do need to move that a little bit that way. Move that over here, and then I'm going to set a cutout box to capture no. It's actually, ah, darn, I gotta do it this way. That's fine. Okay, I forgot about this. It centers that cutout box too. Yeah, forgot about that. I don't know how to make that not happen. That's so cool, man. Beautiful. Ah, you know, I'm just going to ditch the moons for now. Sorry, moons. We're just going to do the planet. We're just going to do the planet. So there you go. You get to see the moons and everything. I'll keep them in the view so that we can see them because they are fun to look at. But I'm only going to show the planet. I'm only going to image the planet, rather. So let's... The view is actually pretty darn good. That's great. Save that position. Let's go to red. Okay, we'll switch over to red. This is a red. Quite a bit dimmer than it was before. Up there in the 90% range. You know, that's almost it's too noisy. I don't like that. Let's keep it at 80%. Yeah, 88. We're shooting 80% now, not 90. Just because I don't want it to be that noisy. Okay, so then I will adjust the focus. Again, we're looking for up in here, we're looking for some contrast there if we can get it. And around that moon shadow and those moons as well. See if we can get them as stable as possible. It's about as good as we're going to get. Let's save that focus position. We're at 80%, and let's shoot some RGB. Okay, so let's check these questions here while this is busy. Yeah. So Corin Lewis says, with the lockdown for the past few months in London, viewing the night skies here, yeah, it definitely helps keep your mind off. It helps us kind of focus on the positive stuff, I guess. Focus on, very interesting things that are happening in the sky still. So, I mean, this is awesome. We're seeing the shadow of Ganymede, the Great Red Spot, Ganymede, Europa. We saw Io out there on the other side. Oh, so cool. You see my big red. I got red lights on the telescope to make it look cool. Very, very, very cool. Let's see what else. What else have we got here? Okay, so that was red. Did I save that focus position? Let's make sure I do. Let's switch over to green. Remember, we're doing 80% on the histogram, which you can't see that right now. We'll do another live stream where I share all of the whole screen. So this is more about the cool view here. Right now I'm increasing the gain just a little bit to hit that 80% mark. Let me adjust focus a little bit. Try and get that contrast around the shadow, the GRS, and the northern and southern hemispheres. I don't know why I tilt my head to look at a computer monitor, but it's one of those crazy things that we do. So focusing on planets is quite difficult because it's just going everywhere. And there's so many different things you can look at to try and decide what's in focus, and then, are you wrong? And it pops around with the atmosphere like crazy. Like, was that in focus before, or is it like worse now? It seems worse. But then here it is, it pops in. So let's try and get that. Here we go. See if I can see detail in the band, then and the detail above the Great Red Spot. Remember, it's upside down right now. This is the north. This is the south. And the gap is kind of okay here because we're going to derotate this, remember. There we go. There we go. Okay, there's our focus point. Go ahead and shoot green. Save that. It is 5:45 a.m. I've got my local time up there in the corner by the telescope so you can see. I woke up at 2 a.m., had some coffee that I made the night before, and hooked up the computer and started shooting. Had a nice night. Really cool stuff to look at tonight. Okay, so S. Perkins asks, what is my all-time favorite astronomy memory? That's a tough one. I've got so many good memories. A few bad memories. Let's see. Favorite? Okay. How about we tell a story? Once upon a time. So we went to near Namibia, near the Orange River, in South Africa. And we stayed on a farm, a guest farm, really far out out of in the middle of nowhere near Namibia. Got lost a few times with the car, kind of driving around in the sand. And we wanted to shoot. We got some really dark sky, awesome locations. And we spent about 3 or 4 nights there. And we shot a lot of wide field stuff. We didn't do any telescope stuff. It was all wide field, so star trails and trying to capture some Milky Way and things. And one of the nights, so what we would do during the day was we would hike around in the heat, and it was almost 45 degrees at one point, if I remember right. We would hike around and we'd find good spots to set up the camera in the evening. We'd mark that spot and go back out to it just before dark, hang out until dark, and then we would start shooting, and then we'd leave the camera. I shot some time-lapse wide field. I shot some star trail and some other stuff. So what I did is I left the camera sitting probably about 300 meters or so from the house, and it's this hilly area where there's these relatively tall hills, rock formations and stuff. And I left the camera shooting, and then went back and had a nap. And I went back about 4 o'clock in the morning to get the camera, and found it, which was good. It's a bit of it in the pitch black. I mean, it was new moon and there's no light there. It was so dark, and you know how the landscape changes when it gets dark. I actually couldn't find the camera at first. It took me about a while to find the camera, probably about 30 minutes of wandering around trying to remember exactly which hill it was, behind. And then when I got to the camera, I packed it up and I stood up and I looked around and I realized I had gotten myself lost. I didn't know which direction I was supposed to walk in order to get back to the guest farm where we were staying. And remember, it's only 300 meters away or so from the house where we were staying. But the problem is, it was so dark and there was no lights because we'd actually asked the owner. We'd asked the owner to turn off their lights, so there was no lights from the farmhouse nearby. And I got myself lost. I didn't know where the hell the house was. And I'm starting to get scared. I mean, there's you don't want to be lost in the middle of the desert and, near Namibia. I mean, it's not fun. There's actually leopards out there, and there's scorpions and snakes and all of that stuff. And so I'm kind of freaking out a little bit, inside, trying not to freak out. Anyway, I climbed to the top of the nearest hill and I look around, and then I see the house. I'm like, okay, cool, I know where to go. So I climb down and I walk around. It took me 45 minutes to get back to the guest house where we were staying from 300 meters away, because I kept getting lost. I kept having to climb the hill and see where it was, and it was ridiculous. It was scary. I was kind of freaking out. I almost actually stopped and just chilled out on a rock until daylight, because I just didn't know where the hell I was going to go, and I didn't want to get more lost, because it just wouldn't have been a good thing. So yeah, that was probably one of the weirdest memories I had of astronomy. So anyway, Rafael in Mexico says the shots are fantastic. Thanks for sharing. Well, I'm glad the shots are fantastic, because they're not always fantastic. I'm always at the mercy of the atmosphere. So I'm super glad that I can share these cool views with you while I'm shooting. John Benson just logging in from Brown County, Texas. Welcome to the stream, John. I hope you enjoy the view. Trying to get some decent views here. It took me a while to get focused there while I was telling my silly story. Um, but yeah, other than that, favorite astronomy memories for me would probably be the first time I looked up um, at the sky in dark skies in the Karoo Desert. Um, it's like one of those things you never forget. I'd never seen the Milky Way at zenith right above me. You know, I'd never seen what the core looks like when it's bright. You know, when you actually got this bright core. I mean, I've been in Death Valley, Nevada, to shoot there, and it was cool and it was bright there. But when it's above you, when you look straight up and you've got the core, it's just this sight that is just incredibly good. It's so cool. I loved it. What mount am I using? This is a CGEM DX, a Celestron CGEM DX. It's pretty old. It's Tanya's mount actually. Um, it's been around for a bit. It's okay. I wouldn't say it's super good. It can handle the load, yes, but these dots you're seeing are keeping everything in the center. We got to remember that it's not perfect. It's actually is drifting a little bit. It's a solid enough mount. I'll definitely give it that. But it is overloaded by this telescope. It's too the telescope as it is too much for it to handle to do any sort of deep sky imaging. I cannot I cannot do any deep sky with this telescope. Anything longer than about 30 seconds, 45 seconds max. Maybe a minute. I might be able to get away with a minute. That would be tough though, because the mount just it's a little bit rough, and then I'd have to throw away probably about half the exposures. Where's my focus here? I just switched to green from red. Let's try and get this nailed in as good as I can. I'm starting to lose the scene, and I'm looking now. The sky is starting to brighten up in the east. The sun's going to be coming soon and trying to ruin our view. But what we'll do is we will actually switch over to, ooh, it just popped in nice. We'll switch over to infrared just now. There we go. So yeah, those four dots that you see on the screen, that's the called the auto align feature in fire capture. So this, and this, it's actually keeping that planet in the same spot, and the only thing I'm imaging is the stuff inside this white box, and that's the cropping video crop box. I'm not capturing the moons or anything out here. I'm only focusing on the body of the planet right now, and that saves a lot of things like hard drive space and makes it a lot easier to process later. So definitely use those kind of features. Area of interests, region of interests, only use parts of the camera sensor. Very, very, very good features to use. Okay. Blue is always a struggle. You guys are going to get tired of hearing me complain about blue, but too bad. If blue would behave, it would be better. But you never know, we might get something decent out of it. I feel like this is about as good as our focus is going to get right now with blue. Not great. It's a little ugly, but it's okay. Mark Chastelo from Cincinnati, Ohio. Hello. Thanks for coming. Thanks for stopping in. I think we'll do maybe one or two more RGB runs. I'm actually going to, because the seeing isn't super great, I'm actually going to ditch the luminance on these, and I'm only going to do RGB. RGB. I could go a little bit faster as well. So we're just going to do red, green, and blue. Like I said, anybody watching earlier, go ahead and ask any questions that you'd like. I'll do my best to answer them. And then if you just joined, make sure you go back to the beginning of the stream after it's done, because the scene conditions were very, very good. Were quite nice earlier on in the stream. So I think I'm gonna utilize the auto run capture. Oh wait, no, I want to actually turn off luminance first. So to do that, I go over here, get rid of luminance, go to auto run. Now it's only RGB. Okay, cool. So switch to red to give it a start. And I've already got my focus position saved, and it looks pretty good, so I'm gonna roll with it. So the focuser automatically moves as soon as I switch filters. And now what it's gonna do is it's actually gonna automatically switch the filter for me, so I don't have to do that. So yeah, this auto run feature is very cool. It actually will automatically switch filters and automatically capture, so that I can basically just watch it go, and I can adjust the focus. I've got about a 9-second delay in between filters that I can use to adjust focus if need be in between those filters. So it's actually looking pretty nice. Okay, so now it's going to switch to green for me, and I'm going to see if I need to do anything with focus. One little tweak before it goes. Okay, now it's off. I do focus in between each filter every single time, just to make sure that I get as good as I can for that particular filter. But it's still a toss-up, you know, if it's going to turn out. Particular images don't always, you know, it doesn't always work. It's very frustrating. Planetary, I think, is very frustrating. Planetary astrophotography, because no matter what you do, you know, sometimes it's just, there's nothing you can do, and you just do your best. So that's what I'm doing now, is I'm just doing my best here, trying to get the best image possible given the circumstances. But it's a pretty good view, I'm not going to lie. I mean, the fact that we can actually see the nice round shadow of Ganymede on the planet. We can actually see detail above the great red spot and in the north equatorial band. There's quite a bit of turbulence up there happening right now the scientists are interested in. So we are trying to make sure that we can get decent images for them to study, which I've been submitting to the planetary science databases. So that's been pretty interesting to do. Yeah, so this is very helpful to actually use the auto run capturing features of fire capture. So, cheers, Francois Fournier. Nice, thanks for popping in. I hope I said your name correctly. I'm glad you're entertained by my dancing monkey routine and the images that you're seeing right now. So yeah, hope to see you again on another stream. But I'm going to stick around here for a while. Cheers, Peter. Thanks for popping in also. Yes, definitely. I'm going to keep shooting. I'm actually going to switch to infrared after... I forgot to refocus on blue, or did I? I don't remember. Anyway, so that's done. Let's switch back to red and start over, because I want to get a few of these captures in so that I can derotate them and get some decent images out of the deal. And that focus still looks good, so I'm not going to touch that. Where's my... Oh, I need to move it. There we go. Cool. Had to recenter that a little bit. Make sure I don't cover anything up. This, can I make it? Yeah, I can squeeze that in a little bit. Just, can I squeeze that in? Sure can. Yeah, that's fine. You can tell. Cool. So that's going. Again, everything is centered and good. Basically, you know, as far as like the alignment and the way the scope runs and everything, you can see, check that scope image in the upper right-hand corner, by the way. You can see the sky starting to get light. So yeah, it's starting to get brighter. That's going to definitely shut down the color imaging here. We're going to switch to infrared. Okay, I need to watch focus now that I'm switching to green. Yeah, it's about as good as that's going to get. I'm going to stick with that position. I think it's pretty good. I forgot what I was saying. Oh well. But again, any questions, anything you guys want to know, definitely recommend just do it. Use fire capture. Fire capture acquisition software is fantastic, and you just cannot go wrong. Now, it's 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm still imaging at 6 o'clock in the morning. This is pretty cool. Looks like there's going to be no nap for me today. This is what happens when the scene conditions are nice, is you don't get a nap. So, yeah. I'm happy with this. This is quite nice. Okay, so switch over to blue. Do I need to change the focus? No, I don't. I'm sticking with that. That's actually pretty good for blue, especially from, you know, this. This is quite nice. So the other thing we look for is impacts. So we don't just look at a lot of the, you know, we don't just look at the pretty colors and the bands and all of that, but the planetary scientists actually do use, you know, amateur data like this, amateur captures, in their research. And so that's why I submit my images to the planetary science databases. And the other thing they look for, I need to is impacts, actually meteor impacts on Jupiter. And like when that happens, and we get, there's software that runs, and it will actually look at your every single frame of video and look for bright flashes on the planet. And when it sees those, it will alert you, and then you can submit those frames for review to look for, you know, actual impacts of meteors on the planet, which is really cool. I need to get, I still have yet to set that software up on my, I've got an old computer I'm just going to let sit there and do data processing on. But there's so many little things you can do. Like our images aren't just, you know, what am I doing? I don't even want to do an auto run. Go back. There. I don't know why I did that. I accidentally captured what I meant to focus. I'm gonna go with that. That looks good. Well, now I've got a file to delete. Let's go delete that file. So if I go here, here, Go to the most recent. This is the one we're shooting now. This is the one that is going to go away because it's junk. And I just don't want that junk in my life. Okay. Yeah, so we're going to keep doing this capture. Daniel Reither says, how long would you set the exposure time for Jupiter with a color camera? With a color camera, if I had one, I'd love to show you, the color. It would be amazing. I'd like to get a color camera someday, but it's just not in the budget right now. But for a color, I would not go any longer than 120 seconds. So 2 minutes would be the max. That's kind of the set time that is safe for one particular imaging run is about 2 minutes. So stick to 2 minutes max and you will be fine. Yeah, that's actually the capture time, not the exposure time. So the exposure time would be more like, what you're capturing with the actual exposure, the camera exposure time. So this particular exposure time for green, for example, is 13 milliseconds. So I'm capturing 60 seconds of 13 milliseconds. So technically, I could probably get away with capturing 120 seconds per color filter. However, I get scared sometimes going more than that. If it was a full color camera, I'd probably do 2 minutes, maybe 90 seconds. You just kind of have to play around and look and see what is best. But there is math you can do, but I'm not going to do that. Not right now. Okay, there's some blue. Sorry, I got to refocus on blue here. Blue's getting a little rough. Things get a little noisier and a little nastier the brighter that sky looks. You can really see that sky brightening behind the telescope right now. It's kind of cool looking. That purple blue. So after this blue, we're actually going to switch over to infrared because we can. And it's always good to get a few infrared captures. So we'll do that as well. Oh, hang on a second. The dogs are looking for me. My puppies are awake. My puppies. Maybe you're gonna meet the dog. Let's see. So this is done. Like I said, we're gonna switch over to infrared. Let's do that. So, okay. So switch over to the infrared filter. So this is gonna mean it's gonna switch to infrared, but I also have to refocus the entire thing. Now, this is infrared. I'm going to change the exposure time to 25 milliseconds. Greetings from Austria. Excellent. So we finally got some more Europeans. We had some people from England, from London that I know of. But that's great. Awesome. Nice to see you, Daniel, from Austria. Now focus with infrared different. I think I'm making it. Yeah, that's definitely way worse. Well, so I'm now focusing, trying to find that sweet spot. Of infrared, which is always – . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . difficult to find, but we will do our best. Feel like I'm definitely, that's worse. Okay, cool. I found the bad spots, so we know where we kind of need to be. So I was in a live stream with Fraser Kane and the people from Dave Dickinson and Chris Elliott and Dylan O'Donnell from on the Universe Today virtual star party on Sunday a few days ago. And it's even in my live stream as well, but there was a bird. A bird actually landed on the scope while I was imaging. Oh, that was funny. Ooh, finding focus is tough on this. That's definitely nasty. Hello, my dogs just came in. And Tanya came in. I'm trying to find focus on infrared right now. And it's a beast. The world is starting to wake up around me now. That's my dog, Vega. I don't know what she's barking at. She's pretty cool. Oh, this focus is tough. This is tough. Infrared is it's awesome when you can get it nailed. But it is quite difficult to do so. Huh. I didn't think it would be this bad, actually. Maybe that sunrise is getting us good. We're nearing the end of the stream right now, so I'm going to go ahead and sign off for the moment, probably. And then I'll be back another time soon. I do this pretty much every time I actually image because it's just, yeah, I think this is as good as I'm going to get for this focus. That's kind of a bummer. It's not as good as I was hoping, but I will try. I'm actually going to change that exposure time to 20. And I'm going to shoot at, let's see, that's 60% histogram. Let's kick it up to, let's make it like 70%. Yeah, I'll do 70%. It's noisy, but what you gonna do, right? I think this is the best I'm gonna get for infrared for focus. So I'm gonna go with that. Now also what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do an automatic run, imaging run with this so that I can kind of leave it unattended. So I'll set this and I'm gonna turn these off and I'm gonna set it to only use infrared for the RGB sequence. That way I can kind of just let it run and get a bunch of these exposures. Do 10 of them. Set the limit to 120 seconds. So as you can see, we're going to do a whole bunch of infrared exposures, and I'm just going to monitor that. I'm going to let the focus be where it is, and we're just going to run that. So yeah, going to let that run, see if I can get some nice infrared data on here. AD. What did I do? 120 seconds. I should not do 120 seconds. I should do 90 seconds because there's a moon involved. That might even be stretching it, but that's okay. Okay. So there's that. So AD Cop, first timer in LA. I'm glad it's been interesting for you. Is there any way to see any of your images after I stack them? Definitely. Go check out my Twitter stream. Go check out Instagram. So you can see my images. So on Twitter and Instagram, also on the planetary databases. But this is where obviously social media, is the best place. The Astro Shake and Instagram, the Astro Shake. And remember to go to photographingspace.com. We've got tons of tutorials and stuff on general astrophotography and all the cool things you can do with your telescope and your camera in the night sky. So I'm just going to sit here and let this run in infrared for a while and capture a bunch of infrared data. Everybody, thanks for sticking around. Thanks for all the questions. If you have anything else that you want to ask me or talk about or anything, go ahead and you're more than welcome to get a hold of me on Twitter or Instagram, or email me at corey@photographingspace.com. You can contact me through the website, photographingspace.com, on the contact form there. I do check those messages. I check everything on the website. I am the owner of that website, so you can go ahead and contact me there and learn everything you can. So anyway, thanks again for joining out, and today, whatever time it is for you in the world, stay safe, enjoy, just look up more, let's all everybody just look up. So, all right, goodbye.